Hello and welcome everyone. Here we are. We're back. Today's a little bit different. You probably read the title. This is the ban and restricted update from almost said March, from August 26th. Now, I'm sure most of you with the big news of what it is have already looked. In case you haven't, we're going to go over it right now. This is pretty exciting. This is a pretty big update. Some stuff that I'm happy about, a little surprised about. Overall, I'm very happy though. Alright, so we're going to start with the big one. Modern. Hogak, of course, finally banned. I said in my plenty of other videos, I get the reason they didn't ban him the first time. I also thought that with Bridge from Below, the deck would be reasonable. It'd be probably just a slow, mopey, janky kind of aggressive deck. We were wrong. It was the most played deck in quite a few tournaments, one of the most powerful decks in the format, and arguably the best deck in the format for its entirety of being in the format. It's banned. Faithless Looting is also banned, which in the article down below, which I'll put the link in the description if you want to read it, they basically say that, what everyone knew, Graveyard decks have been the best deck for the last year in the format. They want with Hogak gone for it not to just be that way. Faithless Looting is the card they chose to ban because it's the biggest enabler. Now, as someone who loves Mardu Pyromancer, this makes me very sad because I feel like Mardu Pyromancer is a deck that gets hit by this maybe worse than some of the Graveyard decks. Like, I can see Mono Red Phoenix, Izzet Phoenix, even Dredge to an extent still being in the format without looting. They won't be as explosive or powerful, probably, almost certainly for Mono Red Phoenix, since that's a card that definitely just absolutely wrecks the game for your opponent. But I think it'll still be strong. Some of the Graveyard decks, like I could see Dredge not really being a tier 1 deck anymore. I guess maybe you consider it not even a tier 1 deck anymore already, but I don't know. My point being, I can see it not being one of the best decks in the format anymore. It does scare me because I think Ancient Stirrings is another card that really needed to be watched. I think with Faithless Looting gone, Ancient Stirring decks are going to get even more powerful. So, I could be wrong. This is pure speculation. Also, their reason for banning Hogak was pretty straightforward. It just too oppressive, too format warping. Also, with Faithless Looting banned, this I like to say guarantees, but it almost certainly ensures that we will no longer have to deal with thoughts. We won't have to deal with playing 4 Leyline of the Void in every sideboard on top of like 3 other Graveyard Hates in the main board or sideboard, or And we could still see it because there still are going to be Graveyard decks, at least in the beginning, I'm assuming. Again, we could see Graveyard decks dwindling away, which if that happens, the Urza Thopter deck gets a little bit better. Because one way it does get shut down is its combo being shut off. Yeah, and then the biggest news on here, and the most exciting for me, is Stoneforge Mystic is unbanned in Modern. Stoneforge has been a card that was dumb, that it's been on this ban list as long as it has been. The format is way too fast, way too efficient, way too aggressive up until now for Stoneforge to be good. I know a lot of concern was competitive diversity and not wanting to force or not wanting to risk creating too powerful of an equipment, but the last time they really printed really powerful equipment that I can think of off the top of my head in Standard was the Swords and Batterskull. There's another one I can't think of one. So comment below if you can think of one. Anyway, so it's kind of silly that Stoneforge is unbanned, and I know a lot of people made the argument, oh, well, it'll make white decks too polarized. Well, as it is already, most white decks aren't even good in the format, unless they're like splashing white, like Hogak did technically for a while. So for me, Stoneforge being banned was kind of stupid still. Plus, there's not that many powerful equipment. when in the grand scheme of things that come down on turn 3 that you compare to like turn 2 thing in the ice. Okay, you put into play a Batterskull. Well, they're flipping their thing in the ice, bouncing the gem or the germ. What do you do all day? You know, Hogak is putting an 8/8 into play. Your 4/4 doesn't mean anything to him. You know, obviously now Hogak's gone. So Dredge, putting a bunch of little creatures into play. Yeah, 4/4 life gain. It's a good thing, but it's not enough to win the game. Now, admittedly, Stoneforge could be too dangerous. There is a world now that the graveyard decks are dampened that Stoneforge could be too powerful. But the fact there's not that many powerful white decks in the format already that are like actually white decks. Like you have Infect that's splashing white for Teferi. You have the Devoted Druid deck, which has to play white for Vizier of Remedies. But neither of those decks I think are going to want Stoneforge. You have humans. You have humans who, while they're a white deck and they play white spells, Stoneforge Mystic is not a human, meaning they have to have a Plains, Horizon Canopy, Seachrome Coast, or put Artificer or Core on a cavern or an unclaimed territory. Then, if they don't have that white source to tap to cast it as a Canopy, Seachrome Coast, Plains, whatever, then they can't actually activate Stoneforge. So they're not going to likely want to play it because they have to warp their mana base quite a bit. Obviously, they can violate it so they can get around its casting cost, but the problem still is we can't put its artifact in play. And now you could argue that, well, still it getting a sword of whatever might be still too powerful in humans. I just don't think it's worth it. I think humans is such a linear, powerful deck, it doesn't want to divert. I do think this is going to allow us to see new Eldrazi and Taxes decks, a new entire archetype in the format of Stoneblade, like in Legacy, which I think is fine. I think having a Stoneblade deck in Legacy is fine. We don't have anything like True Name Nemesis that's going to make it just completely busted. At least that I can think of. We have Vendilion Click, Geist of Saint Traft, which is similar enough, I guess. But I don't think there is any one card that's going to be like, oh no, it's too much. It's too much. If anything, I think it's going to diversify the deck. And also, Stoneforge Mystic gets killed pretty easily. I mean, it's a 1/2, so it dies to most of your removal. So, Stoneforge being unbanned is really exciting. I was hoping to see a Splinter Twin unbanning, but that's alright. Stoneforge Mystic is enough for now. Hopefully, down the road, maybe not October 7th, which is the next ban restricted list, but maybe the one beyond that in, I think, probably December, I'm assuming. Hopefully then maybe we'll get another big change, like Splinter Twin being unbanned, or Birthing Plotter. Another card that, would be fun to play. Now, admittedly, if the graveyard decks do take a big enough hit, then it's possible we could be back in a situation where Birthing Plot's too powerful. Splinter Twin's too powerful. Stoneforge Mystic may even be too powerful. Jund might again become too powerful. We'll see. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's enough other decks, such as Neoform and all this other stuff, that are still just, going to be powerful enough to push them out. Also, with Hogak and stuff gone, Faithless Looting's gone too, but they still have Cathartic Reunion for Dredge. There's still cards. I think Faithless Looting being banned hurts the graveyard decks, but it's not the end of the world. Now, let's move on to Standard real quick. Rampaging Ferocidon is unbanned in Best of 3, not Best of 1. It does say in the article that because of the fact that Best of 1 Mono Red is one of the strongest archetypes, they didn't want to add it to that. But they are adding it to Best of 3. It is only good for another, month or 4 months? Month and a half? I don't know. Not very long. It's not legal for very much longer, that's for sure. But that's okay. I think it's interesting to unban it, see how the format changes. I don't think it's a big deal. Vintage, there's a lot of big changes here. So for anyone who didn't know, or pay attention to vintage, which I don't pay a ton of attention to vintage, but I do pay a decent amount of attention because I do like watching videos and stuff like that and people play it. I myself also like to occasionally rent cards for it and play it. Not very often, but sometimes. Anyway, Card of the Great Creator, much like Narset and Teferi, it had a colossal impact into a format, and that is vintage. Now, obviously, a 4-cost colorless Planeswalker can be played in almost any deck you want. Well, it could be played in any deck you want, realistically, if you really wanted to. But most decks playing it, or most decks could play it, and obviously it's really good because it shuts off your opponent's Moxes, it shuts off all your other opponent's artifacts. It's really powerful. And it also allowed for pretty quick wins. Dash down tick, go get something. Down tick, go get a Black Lotus. Blah, 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 blah. A little too powerful. Something with the combination of Mystic Forge just allowed you to run through your deck. You could play the paradoxical outcome type decks that just played a bunch of artifacts, drew a bunch of cards. Mystic Forge let you keep running through your deck. And Vintage is already playing with very few basics, or very few lands in general, so Mystic Forge, of course, is even better. Mental Misstep, of course, a card that has been banned in basically every other format because it's just too much. It's been at 4 Vintage for a long time. It's now restricted. It was a bit of a nuisance, a bit of a unfun card. I don't know how I feel about this. I didn't read their reasons because, quite frankly, I'm not too interested in their reasons for Vintage because I just kind of want to talk about it real quick. Not spend too much time. Kind of interesting. I think there's a potential that can make the other one drops in the format too powerful. Maybe not. We'll see. Guard Grave Troll, Dredge, of course, being another one of the big decks. In fact, Dredge and Workshops, of course, the 2 decks that you have to always be prepared for in Vintage. Of course, Karn is good in Shops too, along with Mystic Forge. So Shops and Dredge both take hits here. You still have Guard Grave Troll, so Dredge still can do what it wants to do, but you only get 1. Fast Bond is unrestricted, which means you can play now as many as your 4 copies you want. I don't know if people really want 4 copies. Kind of interesting that they did choose to unrestrict it, but I don't know. I mean, Fast Bond's obviously great when you hit it, but I think the issue is like duplicates just terrible. So, yeah. Anyway, great news. Good ban list. Good unbannings. Things to watch out for in Modern. Stoneforge being too good. Graveyard decks being too bad again. And, yeah, I mean, Ancient Stirrings deck being too powerful. We'll see. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are and girls' thoughts are in the comment section below. Yeah, what do you think about any of these bannings? If you're a Vintage player, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing Mental Missteps banned down to 1? Or do you think that it's going to make the other 1-drops in the format like Ancestral Visions, Brainstorm, all these cards too powerful? Empiric Tutor, etc., etc. Let me know. Do you think Fast Bond's too much to unban? Let me know. I don't think anyone's going to really, except for a Dredge player, going to argue the Grave Troll ban, or restriction, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time.